for everyone listening, it's a meme.
So Sophie just said she's not suspended. There's nothing going on. But I don't know, man. I'm going to take her word for it because she's from my home state and we ain't bullshitters. So I'm going to just take her word for it. But it still look a little spooky, Sophie. I ain't going
with Sophie and Caitlin like sitting in the locker room, and it's like
Watch Sophie Cunningham's face right there. That's not the expression of someone caught in a scandal. That's genuine confusion mixed with amusement. And the fact that her podcast co-host has to bring it up tells you everything about how far this story spiraled out of control. A simple meme posted after a win against the Mystics turned into a full-blown conspiracy theory about team dysfunction, suspensions, and locker room drama. But here's what actually happened, and why the truth is somehow more interesting than the fiction. On July 12, 2024, the Indiana Fever pulled off a clutch win against the Washington Mystics. Final seconds, game on the line, timeout called. Caitlin Clark hit a logo three-pointer that sent the home crowd into absolute chaos. Sophie Cunningham, watching from the Mercury bench as her team prepared to face Indiana next, saw the celebration footage and posted what she thought was a harmless meme. The image showed Cunningham and Clark sitting in what appeared to be a locker room, with fake text bubbles overlaid. Coach asks if they followed the plan. Clark says they improvised. Sophie says, oops. Clark says, worth it. Funny, right? Harmless inside joke between two players who've known each other for years, both from Missouri, both understanding the pressure of last-second plays. Except the internet saw something else entirely. Within hours, the post exploded. Fans started connecting dots that didn't exist. Sophie posts meme, then gets listed as questionable for the next game with an elbow injury. Coincidence? The conspiracy theorists said absolutely not.
Or is that a real picture?
I think it was actually like a real photo of, because they film after wins and stuff like that. And I think like during it, something like that happened. It was just funny. So I also don't own the rights to that photo and I posted it. So shout out to whoever did that.
It's like low-key funnier that it actually might be real because I think pretty hilarious.
The actual photo of us is real, but all the other shit clearly isn't. So.
Oh, those aren't real word bubbles, Sophie?
Well, like the plan, the clipboard and stuff like that is what I'm saying. Like, that's not real.
And there it is, the smoking gun that wasn't actually smoking. Sophie's friends from back home in Missouri started texting her, asking if she'd been suspended for the meme. Think about how absurd that sounds when you say it out loud. A professional basketball player suspended by her own team for posting a joke about a completely different team's play call. But that's exactly what thousands of people believed, because the timing looked suspicious and the WNBA fanbase in 2024 has been primed to see drama in every interaction. This is what happens when a league experiences explosive growth without the infrastructure to manage it. The WNBA's viewership increased by 170% during the 2024 season compared to 2023, driven almost entirely by Caitlin Clark's rookie campaign. With that growth came millions of new fans who don't understand the culture, the relationships, or the context. They see a meme and immediately assume it's shade. They see a questionable designation and assume it's punishment. They're looking for conflict because conflict drives engagement, and engagement is what they've been trained to seek on social media. But Sophie Cunningham isn't playing that game. She's a 7-year veteran who's seen the league through its quiet years and now its explosive growth. She knows Caitlin Clark personally, respects her game, and genuinely thought the meme was funny because it captured something real about basketball, how sometimes the best plays are the ones that deviate from the script. The Phoenix Mercury didn't suspend her. They didn't reprimand her. They didn't even ask her to take it down. She had a legitimate elbow injury that had been bothering her for days, got listed as questionable, and the internet did what the internet does best, created a narrative out of nothing.
I don't know.
So I've seen this face before when I saw the Liberty game this past weekend. She got blessed. She was getting booed like insanely every time she committed a foul.
I didn't even play good.
And this one foul, she just rolled her eyes and the camera was all up in her face, just like catching her sarcastic eye roll.
Yeah, I'm a little
I don't know
sassy.
how to explain this without it being like I don't know. It's not like misogynistic. I just think you're such a you're like such a girl.
Now this part is crucial. Listen to how Sophie describes Caitlin's playing style. Sassy, girly, eye rolls and reactions that you'd never see in the NBA. And she means it as a compliment, as something that makes the WNBA product unique and entertaining. This is a veteran player recognizing that personality and emotion are features, not bugs. The league has spent decades trying to be taken seriously, and now that it finally has mainstream attention, players like Sophie understand that authenticity is what keeps people watching. Caitlin Clark's eye roll after a foul call became a viral moment. Her frustrated reactions to missed defensive assignments get clipped and shared millions of times. Sophie blocking a player and doing a dismissive hand gesture gets turned into highlight reels. These moments don't make them less professional. They make them more relatable. The NBA has always understood this. Players talk trash, show emotion, celebrate big plays with elaborate gestures. The WNBA is finally getting comfortable doing the same, and veterans like Cunningham are actively encouraging it. But there's a tension here that Sophie's trying to navigate. She wants the league to embrace personality, while also pushing back against manufactured drama. The meme was supposed to be lighthearted, a moment of connection between two players who understand the pressure of clutch situations. Instead, it became evidence in a conspiracy theory about team dysfunction and league-wide cover-ups. That's the double-edged sword of explosive growth. More attention means more scrutiny, and more scrutiny means more misinterpretation.
And like, we haven't caught our rhythm, but when we click, we're a freaking A++. Like,
Okay, let's go.
yeah. So we just got to get the consistency piece. But I know that they said Olivia Miles was like up for rookie. She's going to get rookie of the year. I don't know if anyone has watched her play, whoever's listening to this. She is a beast, an actual beast.
Olivia Miles, baller. I feel like after
mean-
I want to
Oh,
give
yeah,
you
what?
the floor. Well, I just want to give you the floor to break down the play before we talk about what the drama was. But I also want to say
A C grade. That's Sophie Cunningham's honest assessment of the Indiana Fever's season performance at that point in July 2024. And she's not wrong. The Fever started the season 1-8, looked completely overwhelmed by the moment, and had fans questioning whether they'd wasted Caitlin Clark's rookie year with poor roster construction and questionable coaching decisions. But then something shifted. They started figuring out rotations, building chemistry, and most importantly, learning how to close games. That inconsistency is what makes the meme controversy so ironic. The whole joke was about improvising away from the coach's play call. And the Fever's actual problem all season was exactly that. Too much improvisation, not enough execution of the system. When Sophie says they're an A+ when they click, she's talking about games like that Mystics win. Everything came together. The play call was perfect, the execution was flawless, and Caitlin Clark delivered in the clutch exactly as designed. But then you'd watch them 3 days later, and it looked like a completely different team. Defensive breakdowns, offensive stagnation, fourth quarter collapses. The C grade reflects that inconsistency, and it's actually a pretty fair assessment from someone who's played against them multiple times and watched their development throughout the season. By the end of 2024, the Fever finished 20-20, made the playoffs for the first time since 2016, and showed enough promise to suggest they'd be legitimate contenders in 2025. But in mid-July, when Sophie made these comments, that outcome was far from guaranteed.
That is the exact play we freaking drew up. We literally drew up. And so they just messed up on defense. Like, there was a miscommunication. There was a cross screen. I think Kelsey to either C to Lexi. Yeah, C to Lexi. And they both went with Lexi. So they both do, and it left C wide open. And we were going to C anyway. And so, and of course, like, if someone's open originally, like, you give them the ball. Like, if Kelsey's open to get a layup, yes. If AB was open, but like, the play was.
Now we get to the actual basketball. And this is where Sophie's explanation starts to get interesting. She claims the logo 3 against Washington was the exact play they drew up in the timeout. Caitlin Clark was always supposed to get that shot. The defense just completely botched their coverage, left her wide open, and she made them pay. That's the story Sophie tells on the podcast. And there's no reason to doubt it, because that's exactly how elite offenses work. You design plays for your best player in clutch situations, and you trust them to execute. But here's where it gets complicated. The original content creator in this transcript, the YouTuber analyzing the situation, pulls up a different play from a different game and suggests there's a contradiction. He shows Caitlin Clark saying same play before a late-game situation against Chicago, implying that the Fever run the same endgame action repeatedly. And then he questions whether Sophie's telling the truth, because if it was really the designed play, why does it look different in execution? This is where basketball IQ matters. Elite teams have multiple options within the same play structure. The same play can have 3 different reads depending on how the defense reacts. The primary action might be a ball screen for Clark, but if that's taken away, there's a secondary action, a cross screen for a shooter. If that's covered, there's a tertiary option, an ISO for Clark at the top of the key. Calling it the same play doesn't mean the same shot every time. It means the same initial setup with multiple branches depending on defensive coverage. Sophie's explanation makes perfect basketball sense. They ran a cross-screen action designed to get Caitlin Clark an open look. Washington's defense miscommunicated, both defenders followed the screener, and Clark was left wide open for the logo 3. That's not improvisation. That's the defense making a mistake and the offense capitalizing. The meme joke about improvising wasn't about that specific play. It was a general commentary on how sometimes the best basketball moments come from players making instinctive reads rather than robotic execution.
Light tonight's clear. Okay, so here we go. So this is what happened originally, right? So this is right at the mark. I want to blow this up for you guys so you guys can see it. So this is the play from last night.
See that Caitlin Clark has lost all faith in Stephanie White. And
I'm gonna mute this real quick. Now, when Caitlin comes back, Caitlin's gonna say same play. Same play. Many people is insinuating when Caitlin says this same play, it's the play from the Washington game. No.
And here's Sophie addressing the elephant in the room. People genuinely believed she was suspended for posting a meme. Think about how wild that is. In what professional sports league would a player get suspended for making a joke about another team's play call? But the conspiracy gained traction because it fit a narrative that fans wanted to believe, that the WNBA is overly sensitive, that teams punish players for showing personality, that there's constant drama behind the scenes. The reality is much more boring. Sophie Cunningham had been dealing with elbow inflammation for over a week. The Mercury's medical staff listed her as questionable for the Indiana game, standard procedure for a player managing a minor injury. She ended up sitting out, not because of discipline, but because the training staff didn't want to risk aggravating the injury in a regular season game. Meanwhile, the meme she posted had already been up for 48 hours, gotten thousands of likes, and nobody in either organization had any problem with it. But once the conspiracy started spreading, it took on a life of its own. Fans started analyzing the meme for hidden meanings. Was Sophie throwing shade at Indiana's coaching? Was she suggesting Caitlin Clark doesn't follow instructions? Was there tension between the two players? The answer to all of those questions is no. But that didn't stop thousands of people from writing elaborate threads explaining why the meme was actually proof of deep dysfunction within the Fever organization. This is the challenge facing WNBA players in 2024. They want to engage with fans on social media, show their personalities, and build the kind of authentic connections that drive long-term fandom. But the new audience that's flooded into the league doesn't always understand context. They're looking for drama, controversy, and conflict because that's what algorithms reward. A simple joke between two Missouri natives becomes a suspension conspiracy, and players like Sophie have to go on podcasts to clarify that no, she wasn't punished for having a sense of humor.
Boom. Lexi's right there. Caitlin's right there. Now watch Caitlin at the end of this. Stephanie White changed the play. Look at the guy in the back, the stand attendant. He's like, oh my God, no way.
So let's talk about what this controversy actually reveals. Because it's not about Sophie Cunningham or a meme or even the Indiana Fever's play calling. It's about the growing pains of a league that's experiencing unprecedented attention without the media infrastructure to manage it properly. The WNBA has operated in relative obscurity for 27 years, building a dedicated fan base that understood the culture, respected the players, and knew how to interpret interactions. Then Caitlin Clark showed up, brought millions of new eyeballs, and suddenly every social media post gets dissected like it's the Zapruder film. Sophie Cunningham posting a lighthearted meme should be unremarkable. Players across all sports do this constantly. NBA players post jokes about each other's performances. NFL players make memes about missed tackles. MLB players roast each other's at-bats. It's normal, healthy banter that humanizes athletes and makes fans feel connected to them. But in the WNBA's new ecosystem, that same behavior gets interpreted as evidence of conflict, dysfunction, or league-wide conspiracy. Part of this is the league's own fault. The WNBA has been so protective of its image for so long that fans aren't used to seeing players be genuinely playful with each other across team lines. When Sophie and Caitlin joke around, new fans assume there must be tension because they're not used to seeing WNBA players interact casually. The league has also been inconsistent about how it handles player expression, sometimes celebrating personality and other times punishing it, which creates confusion about what's actually acceptable. But the bigger issue is the audience itself. The massive influx of new fans in 2024 includes a lot of people who are more interested in drama than basketball. They're not watching games to appreciate defensive rotations or offensive spacing. They're watching to see who's feuding with whom, which player is getting disrespected, and what controversy they can amplify on social media. These fans see a meme and immediately start crafting narratives, not because they have evidence, but because drama is more engaging than nuance. The YouTuber in this transcript is a perfect example. He takes Sophie's straightforward explanation, compares it to a completely different play from a different game, and suggests she might be lying. Why? Because the conspiracy is more interesting than the truth. The truth is boring. Sophie posted a funny meme, had an unrelated injury, and the internet connected two unrelated events. The conspiracy is exciting. Sophie got suspended for exposing team secrets. There's tension between her and Caitlyn, and the Fever organization is covering it up. Here's what actually happened with those two plays. Against Washington on July 12th, the Fever ran a cross-screen action designed to get Caitlyn Clark an open three. The defense miscommunicated, and she hit the logo shot. Against Chicago in a different game, they ran a similar end-of-game action with the same initial setup but a different read based on how the defense played it. Caitlyn saying same play before the Chicago possession just means they're running the same base action, not that every detail will be identical. This is basic basketball. Teams have go-to plays they run in clutch situations. The Warriors ran the same elevator screen action for Steph Curry hundreds of times, but the actual shot he took varied based on defensive coverage. The Lakers ran the same triangle principles for decades, but the execution looked different every time. The Fever running the same base action in multiple late-game situations isn't evidence of anything except good coaching. You find what works and you keep using it until teams prove they can stop it. But nuance doesn't drive engagement. Conspiracy theories do. So fans take Sophie's explanation, find a clip that looks different, and decide she must be lying. Never mind that she has no reason to lie. Never mind that the original meme was clearly a joke. Never mind that her injury was documented days before the meme was posted. The narrative is more fun than the facts, so the narrative wins. This puts WNBA players in an impossible position. If they don't engage on social media, they're criticized for being boring and not building their personal brands. If they do engage, every post gets analyzed for hidden meanings and potential controversy. Sophie Cunningham can't even make a joke about basketball without it turning into a multi-day news cycle about whether she's been suspended. That's not sustainable, and it's not healthy for the league's growth. The WNBA needs to figure out how to embrace personality while also educating its new fan base about context. Players should be able to joke with each other without fans assuming it's evidence of beef. Teams should be transparent about injury designations so fans don't immediately jump to conspiracy theories. And media members, both traditional and digital, need to do better at distinguishing between actual news and manufactured drama. Sophie Cunningham did nothing wrong. She posted a funny meme that accurately captured the joy of executing a perfect play in a clutch moment. The fact that it turned into a controversy says nothing about her and everything about the current state of WNBA fandom. The league is growing faster than its infrastructure can handle, and that growth is attracting people who care more about drama than basketball. The question is whether the WNBA can maintain its authenticity while managing this new attention. Can players still be themselves on social media, or will they start self-censoring to avoid manufactured controversies? Can fans learn to appreciate nuance, or will every interaction get reduced to who's beefing with whom? Can media members focus on actual basketball analysis, or will they keep chasing engagement through conspiracy theories? Sophie Cunningham's meme controversy is a microcosm of these larger questions. A veteran player made a harmless joke, got injured through no connection to that joke, and watched as thousands of people convinced themselves there was a scandal. She handled it perfectly, went on her podcast, explained the truth in detail, and moved on. But the fact that she had to explain it at all reveals how much the WNBA's ecosystem has changed in just one season. The Fever finished 2020, made the playoffs, and proved they're building something special around Caitlyn Clark. Sophie Cunningham's Mercury missed the playoffs, but showed flashes of